rotating elements to this to these storms. Down to the south, just nothing much to it. Boy, all of a sudden when it turns that corner, it just isn't strong anymore. It's the leading edge of this that really makes it look a lot stronger, and is where the wind is intersecting and where you have the rotation. And right there along Highway 64, southwest of Clarksville, there is some rotation there. And that's from the Fort Smith radar, so it's not that far away. Clarksville, if I would say go ahead and get into your safe spot. It's passed just by Hartman. There's Highway 194. But that's an area that I would say that we need to probably watch just a little more carefully. And then the one on down to the south of that, places like Morrison, Bluff, and Scranton. And then the one that we've been looking at in Havana, just to the north of Havana. All right, and we'll just, really this is the one that is probably the most concerning, but because of the one that was rotating up by Clarksville and a big population center coming up there, we're going to watch both of those as well. By 12 o'clock and then 2 o'clock, this thing really just begins to be a rain producer, and boy, that's what we need, right? But it will really start to weaken as we progress through that time period. So we're going to keep a close watch on it until then and show you where all the rotation centers are. Danville, that's coming up very close to you. See, I told you this is moving pretty quickly. And 40 miles per hour, it'll come right into that area. There's that rotation center north of Havana. And Dardanelle and Russellville, you would be very close to where this eventual path of this storm would be. I think earlier we projected it would be 11 o'clock or just after 11 o'clock at Russellville. I'd say by 11 o'clock it will already be there, but we'll keep a close watch. And as we head on back north of Belleville, southwest of Clarksville. So this storm is moving into the Clarksville area. And there's that little indentation northeast of Scranton. So it's going to move right along the highway, or the I-40 corridor, and there's going to be plenty of wind along with the potential for a little bit of rotation as well. Elsewhere, we can see that now the middle part of this is not in a severe or in a tornado warning anymore. This one, I'm going to just go back and look at that. Looks like they've removed the tornado warning for the one just down to the north of Shoal Creek. Elsewhere, still tornado warnings in effect. This is Yell County right here, Belleville, and we'll go on down to Danville, the leading edge right there. And then we look for rotation centers. And this one's still a very broad rotation right now, not quite what it was northeast of Havana. But if there was a weak, small, brief tornado, it would be there. And so we continue to watch that. Out to the southwest of Danville, that's the little indentation that we're looking at. And then you get down below that and some lightning and thunder down there, but there isn't any indication of rotation anywhere into that area. So the area along 307 there, the winding road through the mountainous regions of Yell County, and then Highway 27, this is the rotating part of that storm that will eventually move that way. We'll continue to just move up the line here, and from Belleville on up is really what we're looking at. And then the Clarksville storm as well. That is still tornado warned. You can see the polygon there. So if you're in that polygon, respect the fact that the National Weather Service has been looking at this. And somewhere along that leading edge of that line, there could be a brief, weak and not long-lived, not strong, but certainly impactful tornado within that area. National Weather Service, I think, is reconfiguring some of these tornado warnings even as we speak. And there'll be new areas of rotation that start to move in here. And so we're just going to keep you updated, but just focus on the red box. If you're in that, go ahead and get into that lowest part of your house, the most interior part of your house, and we'll continue to keep a close watch. I'm going to go back because I think we lose perspective sometimes. So it's the one approaching Clarksville right now. The other tornado warning is for Danville, and it's coming up on Danville. That has been extended out to near Russellville right now, so kind of two separate ones. This back one will go away in just a short amount of time as the leading edge of the line moves out into Yell County a little bit more, and that's when we'll be more concerned about the Russellville and Dardanelle area. Danville, it's right on top of you really right now, and again, it's well out to the west of Little Rock. We'll get the trailing edge of this coming up. But for now, there's 3 tornado warnings. It's really 2 areas, though, that we're watching. The one that's coming into Clarksville, so if you're in Clarksville right now, time to get into that safe spot in your house, the lowest floor of your house, the most interior part of your house. And on down, I'm going to go back up just a little bit and kind of reconfigure this, but just to the north of Shoal Creek, I believe it is. Yeah, that is not tornado warned. Yeah, no, it's not. That's a severe thunderstorm warning, though. And it's the eastern part of Logan County, that northeastern part of Logan County. There's I-40 with Knoxville and London along it, and then Danville. You got the leading edge of that storm coming into your area. But for right now, I don't see anything. Boy, I just see a lot of wind along that line. If we can turn the wind feature on here, look at the wind, just bright colors there around Belleville. Folks, there could be a spin-up tornado somewhere, but I think the pockets of wind with this could be significant for a little while longer. There are little indentations, though, that are out to the southwest of Danville, but I think that's a pretty broad area. I will tell you that whether there's a tornado on the ground or not, don't worry about that. Just go into a safe spot. Get away from exterior walls and windows, and we will continue to keep a close watch on it as well. Meteorologist Austin Burks is joining me here as well, and he'll be on in just a little while, and we'll get another perspective on this because there's so many those little spots that we need to keep a close watch on where a new one pops up or where there's a lot of wind. If we could briefly take our other source, if we could go to our storm scan, yeah, there we are, and you can see that those bright colors right there. That's 60, 70 knot winds, so 75 mile per hour winds. I think in a few spots are at least possible. That may be up at elevation, so it may not be that strong at the ground. But I think these are just big wind producers right there and big, large areas of wind coming out of them. And then we look for the indentations along the line. Doppler radar really handy at that because you can see the wind field inside the storm as well. But that is just that's a big wind maker. And there's a lot of activity in that atmosphere right there. Here's what it looks like as we move now through Clarksville. That storm has, I told you, it's moving very fast. So it continues to move up to the northeast. Knoxville, you'll be next, and there is a little indentation there, but you are not tornado warned. I will just tell you, you're in a severe thunderstorm warning, though. So anywhere along here, we're going to continue to watch for the possibility of some rotation. I think the rotation right now that I see just to the northwest of Clarksville. There is some wind rotating back toward the radar site in Fort Smith there and rotating away. I think there's another notch right there, Piney. Also, right on top of the Danville area, that little indentation will be passing just on the south side of town there. So if you're in that area, again, you're under a tornado warning, go ahead and get in that spot that is the safest in your house. It's the lowest floor and it's the most interior part of your house. We'll continue to watch these storms as long as they are tornado warned. I think the threat will not last forever, folks, though. I think it's going to be a threat that really starts to subside all of a sudden as these storms kind of bow out. They could even have a little bit of outflow out in front of them, which means that it cools the air in advance. And you already see a little bit of, I think, that happening. There's showers breaking out in advance of this line. And I just think that's going to be what eventually kills these storms. It may not be immediately, but you can see the rain starting to break out a little bit right there, and that's a good sign. It just puts a cooling layer out in advance. Doesn't mean that there won't be wind, doesn't mean that there won't be even the potential for a weak tornado somewhere, but we're going to watch, hopefully, to see in the next few scans that these will start to die down some. And there's the leading edge right there as it moves out into the northern part of Yell County, and eventually it'll move up into Pope County, kind of the western part of Pope County, coming out of Johnson County. Tornado warning in effect for Yell County until 10:45 and up into Johnson County until 11 o'clock. And we're coming up on that. Actually, I guess they've extended that one in the Danville area. But it'll be around 11 o'clock because by then these storms will have raced out of those boxes. And we'll see if the National Weather Service then projects on out those tornado warnings, or if they just allow this severe thunderstorm warning to suffice. But it's a little broader area right now, but I tell you what, there is wind along that. And so don't underestimate Dardanelle, Russellville, out to London, out along I-40 there. Don't underestimate how strong these storms can be. Let's go back to our other source if we can, and I'll show you the, I'll show you the rain chances. We have more tomorrow, and then we have the front actually coming through on Saturday, and we'll watch for more storms late Friday night, and then maybe a few in southeast Arkansas coming up Saturday late afternoon into the evening. Here's the small severe thunderstorm watch that they issued, and they've just extended it out. They didn't issue a tornado watch there. It's not like there's a likelihood of tornadoes, but there is the likelihood of strong thunderstorms there with wind, and we've seen a few rotation centers. But northern Yell County and Johnson County, those are the red boxes there, the red polygon, and this yellow big severe thunderstorm warning is lined in red, which means it's a tornado possible within those storms that are there. And then they're looking for just little areas of rotation, and they have found some of those. But right there in the Clarksville area, just on the south side of Danville as well, and we're going to continue to watch these as this storm has now moved off to the east, that little indentation east of Clarksville. All the leading edge now coming up, it's not quite, I'll step out of the way there, not quite to Dardanelle and Russellville, but that's just a broad area, no obvious sign of rotation there as it moves up into the Russellville and Dardanelle area. But if you're in that area, go ahead and take shelter into the lowest floor of your house. And then Danville, there is this broad rotation, rather broad, but a notch nonetheless, as it's going to be moving south of the city. But if you're in Danville and points southward, I would go ahead and get into that safe area as well. We just look for all along the line any sign of some rotation. Eventually, this will be moving into Russellville, Ola, Dardanelle, and Mount Nebo area very quickly, and then off to the east. But for now, I think it's just a lot of wind along the line there. And then these indentations, and that one is just wind trying to come toward the radar site in Fort Smith down to the south of Danville. So that means that winds are going away from and toward the radar site in a very small area, and that's why the tornado warning is in effect. Not that there is a tornado on the ground, but there could be. And so that's why we say just get into that lowest spot in your house, interior spot. Leading edge will be gone before you know it, and then you'll be able to just to carry on with good rain, a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder, but it's not going to be a big issue as far as a high tornado risk. Once the rain really starts, then you're getting a lot of stability added back to the atmosphere. Over the next couple of hours, these things are really going to die out very quickly. All right, we have, let's see if there's any new tornado warnings. Bear with me here. They've extended on out the severe thunderstorm warning all the way from Hector to the western part of Perry County, far western Saline County, and the northern part of Garland County as well. And we'll have these systems, or this one system, this one complex of thunderstorms, the head end of it as really our only threat. And so you look from where it's most bowed out and up to the north of that, where you can get some rotation within that, and it's kind of a textbook example of that. Hopefully it's not a textbook example of any, even brief tornadoes moving or coming all the way down to the ground. But there could be some brief ones there. We've not had any reports. We'll be looking for power outages as well. I haven't seen any of those as of yet. Knoxville down to London, there's a line of storms. Then all the way down Delaware to headed toward Dardanelle and to Russellville. This severe thunderstorm warning, the big one, is in effect until 11:15. And we'll kind of give you an idea of that with tornado is possible with this till 11:15, Johnson, Logan, Pope, and Yell counties. Here's the one storm that we're looking at and have been really the one that was in the Danville vicinity. They'll be headed toward Pettigene and along a Highway 10 corridor there. Kind of a broad area of rotation, but let's take a look at the wind field inside of that. Yeah, a little bit. There's a little bit of wind. This is from the Little Rock radar. That's from the Fort Smith radar. So the colors will be reversed on these because one of them is looking from one direction and one the other. But there is some indication, plain view perhaps, some indication of some rotation within that. Just trying to check and see what the National Weather Service is saying about these. They are canceling the warnings back behind as the storms go on through. But, yeah, I think they're just being safe rather than sorry. Little kinks in the line there. Some velocity surges where there's just a ton of wind, and that's why they keep the tornado warning in effect. We'll go back to the radar here, and I'll show you that the storm line, the leading edge of this, the surge is coming up now on the Dardanelle and Russellville area. And you'll see it a little more pronounced there. Russellville, kind of the west side of town, is under a tornado warning. I'm just going to say go ahead and get into that safe spot, Russellville and Dardanelle, just really quickly because there is some processing time on this. And so this scan was probably about a minute ago. So you can, in a minute, a car going 40 miles an hour or a storm line going 40 miles an hour makes quite a bit of progress. And there you can see the new scan showing it really nearing the Russellville and Dardanelle area. No evident sign of rotation, no evident sign that there's any sort of tornado with that, but you're tornado warned. And so we're going to continue to watch as we head through the next 15, 20 minutes or so for any rotating area there. Sorry to break into programming, but we do it whenever there is severe weather, and we don't think this is going to last a long, long time tonight, but we just want to keep up with this line. We are going to be looking, again, for power outages, and I'm going to just do a quick scan of that while we're talking here. And in Arkansas, there are 4,500 customers without power, 1,000 of them in Scott County, Polk County 243, 500 in Franklin County, and 200 in Logan County. So this has been caused by either lightning or wind, and so it's a formidable storm. Again, almost 5,000 without power now in Arkansas. As far as the wind field inside of this, there is one. There aren't a lot of areas that look like they have a lot of rotation with them. West of Russellville, a little notch in there. Out to the east of Clarksville, a little bit maybe as well. But we're getting a long way away from the radar site. And I think this is going to turn into just a big rain maker and a wind maker as well. But for right now, we'll continue to watch the storms as they approach Russellville and Dardanelle. That's the tornado warning, the red box there from Danville up to Dardanelle and Ola. And that is in effect until 11:15, I believe, on the tornado warning. 11 o'clock, actually, but we'll see if it's extended because that's only 4 minutes from now. And the one up to the north is on out just to the east of that, just a little bit. The rainfall is going to be really, really good. We need, unfortunately, sometimes we need strong thunderstorms to get a good rain production. And this is going to be great rain production. It's going to come in a hurry along with the winds. All right, there's the storm line east of Clarksville down to Delaware, just west of Russellville, and out to the east of Danville right now. And you get south of there, and it's the trailing edge of that line of storms. And when you get down into that area, there's just no real severe weather threat. It's this area up to the north that is much more concerning. I think we are in that time frame that we're going to progress toward that 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock hour. I will tell you that there will be weakening of these storms. I'm not saying that they're all going to go away, but I think our wind threat will really start to go away. National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning on the northernmost tornado warning. So at 11 o'clock, this warning up near Clarksville will turn into a severe thunderstorm warning, and that will be moving up into the northwestern part of Pope County. But it will not be a tornado warning as of 2 minutes from now. On down to the south in Yell County, they're still going to be watching that storm, and we'll see if they have any more. We're seeing some people saying that there were power flashes perhaps on the RDOT cameras I-40 near Clarksville about 5 minutes ago, but no confirmation of any damage that we've seen. So within just a couple of minutes, there will be just one tornado warning, and we'll see if they keep that one. That's the one in Yell County. And joining us now is meteorologist Austin Burks, who has been watching this as well. Our morning meteorologist. And Austin, you're in a bit early on this, but these storms have been, as we thought, there's a brief window here where they could be strong or severe.
Yeah, I've been tracking them for maybe an hour or so since they've been quickly moving into west Arkansas and now moving into areas of west central Arkansas. That's the good news. They're quickly moving off towards the east. Tornado warning, the one that's near Pope County or just off towards the west there. So Yell County's until 11 p.m. So just about one more minute with this tornado warning. And the good news is they have not extended this. So Petty Jean, Ola, you're still in that tornado warning right now, but tracking that storm. That little notch we've been watching that was near Danville just a little bit ago, that's quickly moving off towards the east, heading towards maybe the Rose Creek area. Northwestern portions or southwestern portions of Pope County, that's continuing there as well. This is our main concern, is these little notches along this line here. Looking at velocity, the winds in the storm, still looking kind of far away up in the storm right now. But this is the area, this little notch just west of Ola, just maybe some broad rotation there. But like Barry said a little bit ago, once this can get outflow dominant, the cooler winds out ahead of the storm, that'll really choke up any tornado threat. And that's what we're hoping to see here rather shortly. Also still looking at that storm that was north of Clarksville, northeast of Clarksville. That is also now just severe thunderstorm warning. For that location up there. That's a new severe thunderstorm warning till 11:30 there. Maybe some wind gusts as high as 60 miles per hour. And one broader look at the line of storms, that Boeing segment from northern Montgomery County, so Yell County, Perry County, and then off towards the east. This will be heading towards Conway County pretty soon as well. This severe thunderstorm warning goes to 11:15. So likely when you see these backward C shapes with these storm complexes, indicative of maybe some stronger winds, 50, 55, even up to 60 miles per hour can't be ruled out. This is quickly moving off towards the east, and it's about to move into Russellville right now in the next 5 minutes or less. So just get away from windows, even if you're not under a tornado warning. Just get in the centermost part of your home and just ride it out. This is quickly moving off towards the east, and like Barry said as well, producing some very beneficial rainfall and some heavy rainfall and tons of lightning with that. So no more tornado warnings, Barry, that we're tracking with this line of storms. Doesn't mean it can't quickly spin up a brief tornado. So even under the severe thunderstorm warning, just again, get in the innermost part of your home. We're also watching RDOT cameras. I'm looking at one that's in Dardanelle right now, and we're minutes away from that line of storm, so we'll probably see winds and rain just kind of blowing sideways there. But the good news is, Barry, that we're not tracking that tornado warning anymore. But if there's anything that will spin up here in the next couple of minutes or so, we'll also still be on. We'll toss it back to you, Barry. That's the good news so far this evening. Came in at the right time for you.
Right. Yeah, we've been here a while. Yeah, you're right. The tornado warning has been discontinued, but I'm going to stick around just a few minutes here, and I do want to get, if we can get that the camera up on the RDOT camera in just a second or two. This is going to be crossing the bridge between Russellville and Dardanelle coming up very quickly. I think there's a lot of wind there. You really see those indentations just really aren't there anymore. That does not mean to let your guard down. That means that you're in a severe thunderstorm warning, and there could be pockets of very high wind along this. And I think it's already probably moving into the Russellville and Dardanelle area because of the rapid forward speed. There's a new scan right there, and it's just really right on top of Dardanelle now. And I don't know if our RDOT camera there is showing rain beginning. Is that on the bridge over the river?
Yeah, the river bridge there in Dardanelle.
Yeah, any moment now, I believe we're going to see just sheets of rain moving through there.
Oh, there it is. Starting to see the rain hit the
yeah,
the
just
camera there.
starting to see. But again, it doesn't look like any obvious sign of rotation. That's the great news. So Russellville, just keep a close watch on this. You are severe thunderstorm warned. If there are any other signs of rotation along this line, and I'm looking along it now, and I just don't see much at all. Yeah, I just don't think that we're going to see much along with that. We're going to continue to watch that RDOT camera. Traffic looks to be flowing quite well, and again, that is on the river bridge. So that's going over from Dardanelle, headed over into Russellville on the RDOT camera, if we can take that just a second there. We're going to send you back to programming momentarily, but it looks like the rain is arriving. I will just tell you that if you're in Russellville, Dardanelle, along the Highway 10 corridor, or CASA, this is an area that's got a lot of wind with it. Dover, right now, there's a lot of wind, but no obvious sign of rotation there. But we're going to watch that area very closely. So if you're in Russellville, I would say just go to that safe spot just real quickly. Just get away from walls or exterior walls and windows. There it is, the sheets of rain.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a wind-blown rain. Power outages, have we seen any more?
5,700.
Okay, so
latest.
that's grown 1,200 in just a little while, and they're all coming out of Yell County.
878 in Yell County now.
Okay.
So we could see some more develop in Pope County. Just looking at the camera there, winds blowing sideways. It won't take too much to maybe get some tree branches down. Hopefully no power outages, but this storm has a history of producing some. But yeah, look at that. The wind's starting to blow sideways just in time as that line's moving through right there.
Yeah.
Good perspective of that right now, telling you that you don't need to be outdoors driving in this either. If you're getting caught in this, just pull over to a safe spot and just ride it out until it passes through, and just don't go outside. Tons of lightning, and if there are pretty good winds with this, you don't want any debris thrown at you and tree branches or anything like that. So just ride it out if you're in Dardanelle and Russellville as well. But on radar and velocity, just not seeing really any indications of any notches anymore, meaning any brief spin-up tornadoes. It's just really that backward C. Now, does it mean up there towards the east of Clarksville? Usually kind of have those looks to it where you can see a brief spin-up tornado embedded in that heavy rainfall. So that's one also thing as well. If you're under a tornado warning, hopefully we don't see any more this evening. You're not going to see whatever's out there. The rain's blowing sideways, the wind's blowing the rain. You're just not going to see it. It's going to be right on top of you as it moves in. So just watching this line of storms stretching from northwestern Pope County now all the way down towards now moving into southwestern portions of Perry County. So, Barry, you were going to say something?
Yeah, Austin, I think the National Weather Service says they're really seeing a drop in intensity of all of these storms. So Dover to Russellville, we just want to warn you that these storms are moving in, straight line winds. They'll be gusty, no doubt about it. But the threat for now, doesn't look like those brief spin-up tornadoes. Not that one couldn't occur. I will tell you. Looks like there is one tree down on a house in Clarksville. I believe it was on Olive Street, and a couple of other areas where there were trees down. 5,700 without power. Mostly over to the west. I think it was Franklin County, but almost 1,000 in Yell County as well. So I'm just looking at the velocity, just the wind, but you can see the leading edge of the wind and the rain, thus Dover down to Russellville and along I-40. Atkins, it'll be moving toward you as well, and down the Highway 10 corridor. I'll tell you what, keep it right here. If there are any threats for maybe a quick tornado spin up, we'll be right back on the air. We'll send you back to programming, though, here in just a moment. But these severe thunderstorm warnings are severe thunderstorm warnings with a tornado possible. I do think the trend is for these storms to start to diminish. And once they do, then we get good rain and we don't have the big wind threat even. But in the meantime, there is some wind threat. Well, again, we're going to send you back to programming. We will be here to cover it. Thanks for trusting us to get your weather information for tonight, and we'll keep a close watch on it.
8 now, militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions.
I don't know what. It's usually when usually when actors come on, we have a clip from the movie.
I know they do, Jimmy, and that's why you say it like you do. Like, hey, you got a clip?
I just wanted.
You got a clip laying around? You act like it's no big deal, and it is a big deal, right? It's not just another clip, man.
I didn't.
And it's not right. Have you forgotten what a clip is? Have we all forgotten what a clip is? People, a clip. It's a sparkling sliver of a movie.
Okay, yeah, that's a nice way of putting it.
Let me tell you something.
You brought a microphone?
I did. I came in here last night and hit it right here. Maybe it's just me, but we go to theaters to love, to cry, to care, because we need that. All of us, and I just thought of that. And a clip, Jimmy, why a clip? Why a clip? It's a glimpse into the future.
Yeah.
Right? It's a hope for something great. It's a taste of tomorrow's dreams today. And by God, we are going to watch a clip of my new film, Normal. And we're going to watch it with respect and dignity. And I'm just going to say it, love.